and the parents on the resumption of the school session?
Resumption as in terms of online or physical school?
Online school as of right now.
Okay. Essentially, we're hoping that children take those online classes seriously. It is going to be tedious, but we are looking at only 5-day week. Unlike what we would normally have done, a 6-day week, 2 times a month kind of thing. So that children are there from morning, starting like a normal school, right up to 2:40. Their classes will go on with a lunch break, etc. in between. And we're hoping the children will focus on it so that there is no backlog for them. In terms of parents, we only need their support to ensure that the child has the ability to be on online classes. So furnish them with their laptop, make sure their internet connection is perfect, help them with the technical issues that they might go through initially, because children are smarter than all of us. And they will figure out quickly within, I think, 2 days on how to run the whole show. And then I'm sure they will be even teaching that teacher who's teaching them online.
Yes, ma'am. So, what have been your challenges and takeaways from this entire experience?
Challenges would be largely to do with the fact that we are working in an unknown space. We don't know what's next, right? So as much as we would plan, the plan might not be implementable. And that's what happened because if you recollect, and I don't know if you were privy to this, but every parent got multiple mails from me saying, we don't want the children to come into school, but y'all can come and pick up the report card. Y'all can come and pick up the textbooks. Mm-hmm. So we have got everything in place, but we realized that nobody can step out of their homes. So planning kept getting done, and we realized that we're working with something that we have no hold over. So there is, we had to keep reworking plans. So that did start off as a challenge, but today it's become exciting because it's good to be working back end, create a whole lot of plans, and then just check to see which plan fits the situation for that day. For instance, I just went out for a drive this morning just to see, so with lockdown going to be taken off, what's the general, what do you say? Around the town kind of thing. And I found people are outside. Okay, and here I was continuing to tell myself that I'm not going to step out without a mask. I'm not going to step out of the house. But people are already outside. So then I came back and I quickly typed in a message to the administrative officer saying, start telling people to start coming for work. Administrative offices, administrative staff can start coming in, especially if they have their own vehicles. No people who come by public transport needs to come. So that kind of excitement of having to watch, see, and create a new plan is very exciting. So that's, I think, a huge learning. You never stop learning in whatever stage of life you're in. So today we've all learned that this has become the way of life. And I think for somebody of my age, completely technically challenged, I'm on WebEx. Today you've introduced me to Hangout. I wasn't on Hangouts at all. I figured it out myself. I told myself I'm not going to get my son to help me. I'm going to do it myself. Of course, I'm on Zoom all the time. So the excitement of it is, there's so much to learn. And apart from, and we're dying to give that learning to the children too. There's so much you can learn through this kind of space in life kind of thing,
Ma'am, I hope that this interview is exciting for you as well.
It is, yes.
So, ma'am, all the students have been promoted to the next class for this academic session. And so, on what basis were the promotions granted?
Okay. So, fortunately for us, we do ongoing assessments through the year. Right, so you have class tests practically every week in class. Every class does that. Right from kindergarten right up to 12th standard, we have tests going on practically every week. Every one of these tests is documented. Then we also have formal tests, which are periodic tests, unit reviews. We have monthly tests for primary school and kindergarten. We have our half-yearlies. All of this had documented evidence of the child's progress. So based on that, we were able to grant promotion for most of the children. But there were a couple of children who we felt needed to be assessed even then, because we didn't find that their progress through the year was good enough. So we did do exams for at least about 15 to 20 children. They did their final exams by the schedule that we had planned, and the question papers were anyway created. They did it through Zoom. So we did have to do that, and then based on that, we had to make a decision on all of those children.
So ma'am, like for my grade especially, like right now, there's a lot of harder homework. You have maths, you have science, we have to make PowerPoint presentations, etc. So also the fact that you might know that some of the students, have textbooks at home, and it might become easier for them in a way to answer the questions because they can simply look and just answer the questions. So how have you tackled that problem?
Okay, so what we're trying to do is that before we start online classes, we're going to be sending you a PDF of all your textbooks. So currently everything is getting scanned, compiled, and we send you the scanned copy because we're not going to be able to get the textbooks across to you at all. Until we can physically start, one of the things that I have in my mind is that if our bus is allowed to fly, then our buses will go out on the school students' route, and at the bus stop, the parent can come and pick up every child's supplies. So that's one plan that I have, but I'm not sure if that's possible or not. But we will enable PDF textbooks for everybody. So once we start classes, it's not going to be a problem for any child.
What do you think the government can do to help the public and schools in particular going forward?
I think the government is doing its bit. The critical thing here is the safety of the children. And I think that's been the highest priority for the government. Everything else is secondary, doesn't matter. The fact that we are able to manage online is just a bonus. I don't think beyond that the government can do much, except keep enforcing the fact that children have to be kept safe. So keep bringing in mandates for that, like for instance, social distancing has to be mandatorily enforced. People have to wear masks. Regular testing has to be done all the time so that, and maybe, enforce that schools have to do testing too of their staff every other day. So that if at all a child is in school for any reason, say for instance, people like us, we're planning to have staggered school timings for children starting September. But we don't want the child to be exposed to any kind of infection. So mandatorily test every teacher, every staff member at the school kind of thing. So those are things that the government should, enforce.
So in the initial days of the pandemic, your school would have been flooded with calls and mails from anxious parents. Can you share some memorable instances from such interactions?
I think the larger memorable bit was, and this is not an interaction at all. Like I said, I sent out mails to parents instantly. The most memorable thing and the most touching aspect of it all was parents just stood by with no discussions, completely trusting what we were doing in school. And that was, I think, the most memorable bit of this whole journey of this pandemic. Beyond that, I think the funny aspects were the child who was tested positive was in one campus, and I deal with 4 campuses. The parents in that particular campus were very, very empathetic, very, very supportive. But there were parents from the campuses which have no connection. So this is kindergarten campus, which was shut down even before we shut down on 9th of March that we shut the Whitefield campus down. Kindergarten was shut even before that. But parents from there were writing to me saying, how do you know that we have no cases in this campus? So I did find it extremely funny, but I guess it was sheer parental anxiety. So those are some of the memorable things. And I think the whole bit of how my staff stood by me, every staff member, So I was in school many days because I was overseeing the sanitization. I was conducting board exams there, so I had to ensure that everything was in place for those children who were coming from outside. There were staff members standing by just so that while I'm in school, um, they are there to support me. Not that they had any work, but they were there. It's physically there to support me. If you can expose yourselves, we will all be there with you is the kind of message that I already always got. I think those were absolutely memorable moments.
Really sweet to see, ma'am. So, this is a never before experience for all of us. Thus, with this experience in mind, what advice would you give to future academicians and the student generation? And what are the key takeaways from this episode which can be a lifelong learning for the society?
I think the biggest so as an academician, the first thing that we always realize is dealing with children is is the most unpredictable situation that you can let yourself into. Because they are children, there's something new that happens every minute. So there's nothing that you can plan for. And this particular episode only reinforced that whole thing, that um, while you are in this, nothing can be planned for foolproof. You have to be ready with plan B at all times. Two is, I think the whole shift is going to come into. So we are very cozy with the fact that I'm a teacher and nothing can move me out from there. Well, so nothing can replace a teacher, but of course, online classes are going to happen, and so your whole structure of what you are as an educator is going to change. So that is something that I guess is something that all of us have learned through this episode. And the biggest takeaway is there is no plan that can be, said as sealed and a good plan. A plan always needs to be duplicated and will have to be changed. So you will have to be extremely flexible as you lead life because you never know what's going to come your way. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from the whole thing.
And with that, ma'am, we've reached the end of this interview. I mean, seeing such a unique view of the pandemic and seeing such a positive view, in fact, is truly a blessing for me. I hope that this interview has been a pleasurable experience for you as well. I would also like to thank you for taking time out today for giving this interview, along with your very valuable knowledge. And I hope you have a good day, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Just a small bit over here.
Yes.
I think the biggest fallout of a situation like this is I see all of my children, all of the D-Nights, exploring so many various skills, which is including you. I've known you from the time you're a little kindergartner, and today look at you all grown up with a jacket and all of that and interviewing me. So it just makes me feel so good that this is the most positive side of this pandemic. I think children have grown overnight and they have identified skills about themselves which none of us would have discovered. Good luck to you always, Rishit, and I do hope your website gets huge amount of hits and likes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, ma'am. And we have such a great role model like yourself, so we have to be passionate about things we do like.
Thank you so much.
So, with that, we come to the end of the interview, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was very exhilarating for me to interview the principal of my school. In the course of the interview, I picked up a lot of valuable life skills which I would want to share with you. We saw how Shanthi ma'am honored her commitment for giving the interview despite facing an emergency at home, which goes on to show one should honor one's own words even in the face of adversaries. Coming from the wife of the patient, Shanti ma'am gauged the authenticity of the news of the virus infection and took fast decisions to minimize the collateral damage. As events were unfolding too fast, Principal Ma'am didn't have the luxury of consulting her team for every matter, but she still had to take decisions on her own, even if they were very hard ones. This incident very beautifully highlighted that when media plays its intended role of disseminating facts, it prevents spread of rumor and gives people the real picture. In the event of unforeseen incidents, leaders need to remain unfazed and quickly draw up working plans in collaboration with the team to focus on the goals. In moments of crisis, transparency and continuous dialogue with the stakeholders binds people to overcome the difficulties faster and smoother. Unforeseen events lead to ambiguous probabilities, which needs constant planning and replanning, which is best tackled by handling the unknown with excitement. We heard how Shanthi Ma'am stayed tuned to the changing scenario and still continues to plan and replan as the pandemic keeps unfolding its various aspects. At our age, we think school and then college will be the end of learning, but life is a never ending journey of learning with its gamut of surprises and opportunities. All work, especially crisis events, are best handled by teamwork, which delivers the best results and encourages extraordinary efforts. Unforeseen circumstances needs team effort, which is best managed by leaders who lead from the front and are quick to dirty their hands. Shanti ma'am continues to lead a team of very dedicated teachers, staff, and administrative officers in these uncertain times. Change is the only constant. This event proves the adage true again, and for our generation, it is learning by the fire. All plans hold good till the new set of information or events rolls out. All plans need calibration and recalibration. Iron breaks, but the water flows through.